Well, I got a real kick out of doing two posters from some of my favorite films from my childhood, the classic Universal horror films from the 30s. I guess we can talk a little bit about how we got our avatar to look somewhat like a Frankenstein monster. And I did it rather simply. And that's kind of what I like to do, is keep things simple. Basically, I started with the G3 Benny character, since I really had more clothing options and was a little more familiar with the layout of that type of avatar. So I basically used him, and basically, obviously, utilizing my proportions aspects in the avatar proportions, started altering my proportions, and here we are. And obviously, you can make him skinny and taller and whatever. And basically working with those objects was able to get the character pretty much like I wanted. Let's talk a little bit about the skin texture, though, and that's probably the more important thing here. I did borrow from some of the newer characters. I used a head from Mario, from the Neighbors pack. I kind of liked the texturing, so I basically just copied that head image and pasted it on Benny, and then worked with that particular facial profile, we might say, facial image map. Certainly, I didn't use that hair. I used different hair. Now, to get the coloring and everything right, I basically took this skin texture, face texture, and launched my program, which I typically use is Photoshop. You can use pretty much any paint program of your preference. And so I utilized Photoshop and ended up with something like this for his facial map. Basically just drew some stitches, created some scars, drained the color out, and did a little coloring in iCLONE. But basically ended up with a character that looked like what you saw there after I got through. Now, after we do the texturing, let me go ahead and put that map on here that I had for Frankie. I think I had a couple of options here. I think this would be the one right here. That's basically what I ended up with Mario. Now, you'll notice, of course, that the head is a whole lot different shape-wise. And the way, of course, we do that is to go over and work with the detail of the face. And you have some shape options here to choose from over here, but you really can't get close enough to what you need. So what I did, and let's go back to more of our original setting. Now let me go back to Mario here and show you kind of how I started this process with the detailing. And let's drag our window in here. And basically you can see, keep mirror turned on and start shaping the head like so. And you can see kind of what you're going to start getting here. Turn it sideways here. And so I started reshaping the skull closer to what I wanted. And that's pretty much how you can get that. It'll take a little work, but it'll be fun. And you can use your front and side. And that's how you can get that shaping done. And then, of course, you have your other shaping tools here to work with to get the nose closer and everything. And I was just going for a more of a gaunt-looking skull shape, sunken cheekbones and jaws and stuff like that. So you got your cheekbone here, so you can play with that. And once you play with it, you'll get close to what you want, and then you can load in your face map, and you'll have a closer representation. And now, of course, I went through and modified all the other skin textures. One quick down and dirty way to get all the textures looking close is to go over and select the skin texture. I'm going to select the upper here, and actually I'm going to select the face, and then I'm going to click Affect All Channels, and notice it did turn green. Hands turn green. Now I went ahead and of course adjusted those textures some more, added some image maps. This real grungy, bloody image map I created once again in Photoshop. I'll add that map to these other textures for the hands, the torso. We'll see a little bit of the upper skin, the legs a little bit, and we don't see them right now, but once we get the clothes like we wanted. And as I said, I had more clothing options for the G3 characters, so that's what I used. And didn't do anything really crazy. Basically, I just took some of the basic maps that we had and just created some ragged opacity maps, and I'll load that into Photoshop so you can see that right there. Let's just launch that. And so just created some ragged edges for the opacity maps that were already there, and make them look a little more like a Frankenstein creature would wear. And the same with the trousers. And let's go down to the lower and go back to the lab. Here we are. And once again, created ragged edges there. And the shoes, created the nice big boots, like so. And once again, after reshaping the avatar, coming up with a Frankie that looks, a Benny that looks a little more like Frankie. Now, for the hair, I basically had to modify. Let's go ahead and eliminate it right now. Had to modify the existing army cut, and since I've enlarged Frankie's head, you can't even see it, so we'll need to scale it up. I obviously changed the color map on it, darkened it, and it's pretty easy to modify it and get it close to what I needed, and came up with the Frankie hair. Okay, and for the bride, I used Wanda from the Chuck and the Neighbors pack, so she is a newer avatar, and once again took her face map into Photoshop and added the scars and drained the color. Tried to get the hair to work with her somewhat afro hairdo. Never was real happy, so I did something extremely cheesy and just created a simple prop from a sphere, and obviously it doesn't look that much like hair at all, but for the effect I was after, it was close enough. And that's my problem. I tend to just get it close enough. But you can see it's just a sphere. Added some textures to it to rough it up a little bit. Not very much. And it still could be done a lot better. I don't think I used that hair at all on there. I think I eliminated that, in fact. But that gave me a close enough bride using Wanda. And that worked out just fine for the poster, for as far as I was concerned anyway. And gave me the look I needed.
You are acting so weird and immature. We need to have a serious talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, am I totally screwed or what?